Cascade Botanical TVO vacuum ovens. Pretty simple to use. Power switch, lights it up like a Christmas tree, red and green. You can see on the controller, red is the current temperature, green is where we want to be. Most of our customers start out somewhere between 85 and 105 degrees Fahrenheit. On the controller, up arrow to increase your temperature, down arrow to decrease your temperature. You'll also notice this number 2 that is flashing. That acts as a pilot light or an indicator that the controller is calling for heat. It's intermittent and it's variable, so sometimes it may be on solid and sometimes it may just intermittently flicker. What you need to know is when you see that, your controller is working hard to very carefully and in a controlled manner bring you up to temperature, minimizing overshoot. We've integrated the overtemp protection controller, and we've set it to 150 degrees Fahrenheit at the factory. This is the most sophisticated overtemp protection you can get in the industry, and it's built into the controller. Should your oven ever see 150 degrees Fahrenheit, that overtemp will cut power to the heaters, keeping you and the oven safe. We also have a fantastic new feature in this controller that helps maintain temperature stability. When you need to vent the oven to open the door, whether you're going to put in another slab, you're going to flip, it's the end of the process, you're going to take your slab out. We'd like to put the controller into a state of suspension so it remains unaffected by the quick temperature changes of opening the door, flipping, or venting. And the way we do that is by simply pressing the Easy 1 button, and you'll see how the controller now goes to off. It's not off, it's simply in a state of suspension while you open the door, flip, vent, etc. Once you've closed the door and you're back in business, pulling the chamber back down, hit the Easy 1 again, and we're right back where we started. Your controller remains unaffected by the temperature fluctuations of opening the door, venting, etc. Light switch here, still the same beautiful, clear LED light to illuminate your slabs. Sorry, no party colors here. On the vacuum valve and the vent valve, these are the doorways to inside the oven. They're very clearly marked. This is the closed position, this is the open position. What's great about these valves is that they have a really precise feathering ability. So if you want to tamper down on your vacuum valve and maybe only open it halfway, that is halfway. If you're having a large muffining event and you want to minimize that muffin, just crack the vent valve ever so slightly, and that'll take care of that. These valves are very easy to use and offer precise adjustability. The vacuum gauge is a digital vacuum gauge that reads in inches of mercury. Let's talk for a second about that. These type of vacuum gauges are what's known as a reference gauge. So it is not an extremely precise measurement of pressure. If you're interested in that type of thing, reading extremely accurately down to the micron and millitore levels, give us a call and we can get you set up. But for all practical purposes, what you will see on this gauge is somewhere between 29 to 28 inches of mercury. You may see 30, but really there are so many things that affect how this gauge will read. The type of pump that you're using, the size of the vacuum lines, how much gas load is coming off your product that your vacuum pump has to contend with. So you should be very fine and happy with seeing 28 to 29 inches of mercury. That's what I'll see here in Portland, Oregon when I'm processing, but my friends in Denver, they'll only see 25 inches of mercury. That's because these reference gauges will lose about 1 inch of mercury for every 1,000 feet of altitude. So it's important to keep in mind, if you're at any type of altitude, this gauge will read less than 30 inches of mercury. Let's talk about the initial temperature stabilization of your oven, bringing it up to temperature for the first time. Here's how you do it. My oven is on. Right now I want to process at 101, currently at 84. My number 2 is flashing. That means the controller is bringing up the temperature steady and slowly so that we do not overshoot past 101. But what I also want to do is I want to evacuate this chamber so I'm not spending all this precious time just heating up the warm air that's inside, only to suck it out once I turn on the pump. So let's allow our oven to stabilize under vacuum. You'll notice both the vacuum and the vent valves are closed. Your vacuum pump is connected. You simply open the vacuum valve. Vent valve remains closed. Watch your vacuum gauge start to march toward 30 inches of mercury. This takes some time. We ask you to be patient. I would allow at least an hour, give it a chance to heat up and stabilize. Once our oven has stabilized at temperature under vacuum, it's time to put some product in the oven. Close the vacuum valve. Hit the Easy 1 button. Open the vent valve. Vacuum gauge returns closer to 0. Door opens. Product goes inside. Close the door. Close the vent valve. Hit the Easy 1 button. Again, return to temperature. Let your slab sit there for maybe a half hour. It's got to get viscous and get moving with the warmth of the shelves that you just spent the last hour doing. Give it at least a half hour to do that before you start your purge. Once you feel that your slab has had some time to acclimate to the warm temperature of the shelf, it's time to pull a vacuum. Simply open the vacuum valve, let her go. The vacuum gauge starts to creep more toward 30 inches of mercury. This is where you may see that muffining event happen. Muffining, not so great. First of all, it's messy. And second of all, you actually are beginning to unevenly dry your slab in these web-like layers that collapse upon themselves. That's not the best way to do a uniform, complete 100% purge. So when you see that muffining event start to happen, crack that vent valve ever so slightly. With a little bit of trial and error, you can have 6 racks in this TVO-5, all just purging ever so nicely like this. And when you do, send us a photo, tag it on Facebook, on Instagram for our full Rack Friday, and we'll set you up with some Cascade Botanical swag. Say hi to us on Instagram or Facebook, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to call us. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much.